So how do you approach Love Victor, since that was kind of like your first big break? Like, how do you approach that and that character?
Dude, honestly, I think for Love Victor, like it was a lot more like kind of like character work, kind of like understanding who Victor was, understanding like the family dynamics. Also just like there's a slew of amazing actors on that show, like Anna Ortiz or James Martinez or like Mason Gooding, Anthony Turpel, like all of them. There's a lot of really talented actors on that show. Isabel Ferrer is another one too, but they basically, I think like a lot of my relationships with those people in general like informed a lot of the work and like informed like kind of how I approach the material, and like I focus more on like backstory for Victor. And then like, also that was my first big job. So like when you're doing something like that, it's like a lot of like sink or swim. You're just trying to like figure it out as you go along. So like I would try different things all the time and see what worked and see what didn't. But I'm so grateful for that project, dude. It was like the most amazing thing ever of my entire life. Like I still hold that to such like a high regard in my life. Like I learned so much from that job,
I mean, a show that ran for 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And wouldn't, change your life professionally because you're learning a bunch of skills. I mean, even from episode to episode, from day to day, you're becoming a better actor, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah, because you're doing it every single day, 16 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like that's like the ultimate version of like flexing that muscle and really getting in those reps, like you learn so much. And also just that job in general, like it meant something. And everyone knew this means something to a lot of people. We need to like, we have a responsibility here to like represent people. Like it wasn't like a thing where it was like, oh, like no one was showing up being like, oh God, we have to go to work today. It was like, no, we're here for a reason, and like everyone was very dedicated to like making sure the message came across,
When does that set in for you? Do you know that going into it? Do you realize the magnitude on set?
I think I knew from the jump. My cousin is gay, and like I really wanted to make sure that he felt seen by this, and like I wanted to kind of like tell a version of his story through the lens of Victor. And like I think for me, like he's like my older brother, like we've been close since I was like literally born. Like we're so freaking close. And like to me, like when he told me his story about like even like what happened with him when he came out and my family and everything like that, I was like, I know that I need to do this because there's a million other people just like him. And like it meant something to me, you know what I mean? And like because it hit so close to home, and like because it meant so much to like people that I really care about. So like I wanted to make sure I did the job right.
Do you remember the first feeling of that impact?
Dude, when the show came out and I got these beautiful messages, like people just like telling me about their life story and like saying like this show made me like I want to come out, and I'm gonna come out to my family, or I did come out to my family, and this show changed my life. And like the amount of people I've met in real life, like just telling me these things and like crying, and like I like just thinking about it makes me want to cry. But like that's like the only thing that really matters at the end of the day when you're doing stuff like this, right? Is like it's like, oh wow, I'm giving people providing them an escape or a safe space or offering perspective, right? Like that's what you want to do with art in general. And like obviously a lot of it comes from the writers too, like they did an amazing job on the show. And I feel like the stories felt very like authentic and real, because it was a lot of their stories being represented through Victor. A lot of the writers were really injecting their own kind of stories and their own life into this. So like, I think that's also why it resonated so much with like so many different people.
You said like you were kind of surprised about just how the show had such a positive impact, but like, why were you surprised by that? And
I'm a kid from Vegas, bro. Like at the end of the day, like I didn't, I never thought, like I obviously hoped and dreamed that it would get to that point, but like to see that it actually does, like what you do makes a difference. Like, I'm sure you feel probably similarly, and I'm sure you do too, where it's like people are like, dude, I love listening to you guys, and like it is like a safe space for them, like this winds up becoming like a sense of comfort, and like that's something that like it definitely like has to surprise you at least a little bit when it first happens, you know what I mean? Like and it did, and it's like it's a special thing to know that like you're in these people's homes with them.
Totally.
It's like you're in a very intimate space. You're in their bedrooms or in their they're listening for you guys. Especially like, they're listening to you in the car on their way to work. Like, it's like they could be talking to someone, but they're listening to you guys, So like that means something.